Hello everybody, I'm Roadblock. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Before I get into Hydra, which we are going to talk about today, I just wanted to shout out really quickly that tomorrow, which will be Friday at 9:30 p.m., that's Eastern Standard Time, I will start my stream. I usually start pulling shards on that account around 10 o'clock, and I will be pulling my sacred shards tomorrow as well on my free to play rather. I'll be pulling my sacred shards tomorrow as well as the two summon pool shards. And if I get a legendary, I do gift memberships to the YouTube channel. This is a great way if you're interested in getting an account takeover from me. My only requirement for account takeovers is that people become members of the YouTube channel. So this is a great way that you could get one gifted to you and then get an account takeover that way if you wanted to. But if you don't care about any of that, you just want to come hang out and watch me pull some shards live, it's going to be a lot of fun. I think we have 11 sacred shards and then we have 2 here. I will gift a membership for every legendary that I pull on my account. So I wanted to get that out of the way. I also wanted to say that we are very close to 4,000 subscribers. At the time of recording, we are at 3,992 subscribers. Very, very close to that magic 4,000 number. So please, if you are new here or if you've been watching for a while and just haven't clicked that subscribe button, please consider doing so because it will be a big boost to my account to hit that number. With all of that out of the way, let's talk about what we're here to talk about. You guys saw it in the title. We are here to talk about Hydra. Now, I'm a little apprehensive to make this video. I felt myself getting quite upset, unnecessarily so. I'm a person who really loves a debate, and we didn't know what it was going to look like. We all had our different opinions. I was of the mindset that it wasn't going to be all doom and gloom. A good, I would consider, friend even said they called it dead content. I think that was a little bit uh premature. And I don't think that ended up being the case, but people were upset, right? And so I am a little hesitant to give my thoughts and give my opinions on the changes now that they have gone live. A few disclaimers, and I think it's very important to get these out of the way. I've only tried one team since the changes, and I haven't tried my Trundle team. I know that team is not going to be any that team is not better. That team is much worse. So pretty much going to get rid of that team. I think I don't even think I'm going to try and run it because I just don't see how it's going to have any success whatsoever for me anymore. But my main team, I'm not going to say it did a lot better. And it's not that simple, but my main team's damage this week did go up versus last week. But I don't want to mislead anybody. It's a different team, slightly. So I call it my main team. Most people's main team was their Trunda team. My main team was my traditional team. So I've done my run this week. We'll go back to the main account. And on the main account, I did my run. I did it live on stream tonight, in fact. If you have any questions about it or you want to see it a little more closely, feel free to check out the live VOD of that. And you might be able to see kind of what I did and how I did it. Now you can see it only did 157 million. This team actually did more damage this week than last week. However, there is a change. Now, this was last week's run. You can see here we have Ancora in the last week's run. Now, I changed out Ancora for Duchess. I built Duchess, booked Duchess, put her in 9-piece protection, and obviously that made a huge difference because we don't have to deal with any of the fear mechanic at all for the most part. And this team is still a work in progress. I'm considering taking out Padrig in favor of Mikage. I would lose increased speed, but I would gain buff extension for the Veil, and I would have a way to get rid of the reflect damage, which heavily weakens this team. Now you will see, if we do a comparison again, Acrisia, she did a little more damage this week, and we'll talk about that. But this team, I always considered it a very traditional Hydra team. You've got your Provoke, right, in Archer. You have your Hex in Archer. I've got block damage on Ugo. I've got enemy max HP damage on Acrisia. Thor is a recent addition, but I'm actually considering taking him out and putting Newt back in with the changes now. I think Newt's going to be better at freeing Acrisia when she gets eaten, and freeing anybody for that matter when they get eaten, and possibly even freeing them in the later stages when that bar gets so high. Having 2 enemy max HP hitters could be valuable there. So I am considering changes. This is not an apples to apples comparison, and we have to be clear about that. This team was worse last week. Duchess, I think, is better than Ancora. I had an idea for a team where Padrig, ally attacking with Ancora, would refresh a lot more cooldowns that way, with 2 A1s that refresh cooldowns. But ultimately, I think Duchess is the better choice. Because the fear mechanic is a pain in the butt. And so I just put it off for far too long to do that. And this was not my best performance. I did this one on stream. I did both of them on stream technically, but when I do Hydra on stream, I talk too much. I want to respond to everybody in chat, and I forget to do the mechanics the right way. So I target the wrong head with Thor. I hit with Acrisia when there's reflect damage out, all this kind of stuff. So I just want to be clear, it's not an apples to apples comparison. But technically speaking, I did more damage this week than I did last week. Use that information as you will, but I will admit that I probably this team that you're looking at, not this team, sorry. This team has done, depending on affinity and depending on how many times I rerun it and how hard I'm paying attention to it, this team has done 250 million on Clan Boss. So obviously the damage went down. It looks funny and I'm making a joke about it and all that. But the reality is, yes, this was 100 million damage less than my best score. This run was not my best run, but I will make some changes and hopefully see some improvements. But I wanted to talk about the changes. Now, I still stand by my opinion, and I've mentioned this, I think, in a couple of videos, maybe even in chat. I don't agree with the 100% damage reduction. I don't think it's as impactful as a lot of people are making it sound. I hope you've seen that in your runs. What I think they should have done, and I still stand by this, they should have kept the 75% damage reduction. Hell, even made it maybe 85, maybe 80. I don't really care. Just don't make it 100%. But make the heads unkillable. Instead of making them 100% block damage, give them essentially an unkillable buff that cannot be removed. Because if you do that, players can still do the extra damage, but you can't immediately kill respawned heads. You will have to do the mechanics, right? And I think that's the frustrating part about, for me personally, and I don't think I articulated this in my other videos. For me personally, the frustrating part about the cheese teams is that you didn't need to bring a lot of the mechanics for Hydra. Where's your Provoker in the best Trunda teams, right? Where's your block buffs? Where's your HP burns? Where's your um I guess that's it. But you know what I mean? Those were the things that where's your mitigation for fear? That's the last one I was looking for, right? How are you dealing with the fear head um within those cheese teams? And that's what frustrates me, right? Is that people that just ignored mechanics and can put up insanely broken numbers and not have to worry about mechanics. I always felt like if you changed Hydra to where you forced those teams to do mechanics, all of a sudden it's not as good, right? Because when you do all that work to get that perfect Trunda hit and then she misses it because she's feared, hey, right? Or she gets provoked, right? I guess you are bringing Hex, by the way. That was a misstatement. You do bring Hex in the Trunda team. I don't know that you always bring a provoker. I've never really run the best Trunda teams, so grain of salt there. But talking about like the Gerp Tuck, Double Yumiko, all those teams, right? But the point is that I think if you could find a way where players can still do the damage that they want to do, but you also force the higher end players to do mechanics by not being able to get a free kill on a 75% damage reduced head, I think that would have been uh, a potentially more widely accepted change. The fear that I have read in many of the comments is that players down on the lower end will still suffer because they will no longer be able to do damage to those heads that are under that protected buff. Now, on live stream, I actually demonstrated how much damage I was losing. And I didn't find the clip, unfortunately. But the reality is, for my traditional teams, when the heads come up, I did a sliver of damage to them. And that's with my Acrizia team. Because that damage reduction affected my team in particular so much, in such a greater amount. And it's hard to gauge how much that you're really losing from that particular mechanic. But that seemed to be the mechanic that pissed people off more than anything else. One argument that I did hear is a player that was soloing Brutal for his clan basically would no longer be able to do that because he needed all 1,500 turns. And that sucks, right? The reality, in my opinion, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but I hope, because I've been there, I am the leader of my clan, and there was a time where I was the only one who would do Brutal. Me and one other person, actually, if I'm going to be technically correct, me and one other person were the only two able to do Brutal. Everybody else was doing hard or normal for 2 months, and then we recruited, we educated, we coached, and next thing you know, we were killing Nightmare. And I make it sound like it happened overnight, and I got to tell you, it felt like it happened overnight. It really did. It really felt that way. I remember saying in chat, how did we go from barely doing Brutal, now we can kill Nightmare all of a sudden? And so, a lot can change in this game. So for that particular person, we went back and forth a little bit in the comments. Hope I didn't upset you too much, but I do hope that things are working out with your clan. I hope some people are sticking around and not as scared of the changes as they originally thought. And so best of luck to you and your clan. But that was a fair argument, right? There's not much you can do there. If you need 1,500 turns and you take away 500 turns, that's a lot of damage, right? So that really could have hurt that player. But overall, I feel like for a team like this that is very focused on doing the mechanics, and technically there's a buff to my Trunda to my Acrizia that I didn't think about. I'm doing okay. I'm happy with my damage output. It did go down. If this was a perfect run and you were to compare it to my other perfect run, by 100 million you could argue. But again, I don't know for sure that I would really wait around anymore for a perfect run. The Clash scores seem to be down quite a bit, which is satisfying. You can see we're up in second place. We've used more keys, so I don't think we're going to stay there. But, um, you know, I'm okay with the changes. And the one thing I kept coming back to when it comes to the changes is why so many people were upset because like the percentages are of their damage were coming down, right? So I know that there were people, and maybe this is a bad example a little bit, but I have people in my clan, like we'll use my clan as an example. We can look at the scores in my clan, right? I've got people that do 10, 9. I mean, some people that can't even get, no disrespect intended, that can't get the max chest on normal. But when and I'll even go over to my free to play and let's just kind of see if I can demonstrate. I know I did this on before. I did this previously on. I don't have a team saved. I'm not gonna mess around with this because I don't want this video to be too long. I know the last one was like 45 minutes, and unfortunately, videos that long don't do that great. The point that I'm trying to make is on my hard team and my normal team over on the free to play, I get a couple of hits in when the head is under the protected buff. But because the damage reduction is so strong, I don't target that head. Yes, I was getting some cleave damage, right? I would use an AoE and get a little bit of extra damage, but it was still reduced by 75%. And so you're talking about 1, 2, maybe 3 hits, depending on your speeds and everything. But down to normal, you know, if you were so super crazy fast and your team was so super crazy strong that you were able to do significant amounts of damage through a damage reduction of 75%, you might want to consider going up in difficulty, right? Like if you're, you know, for me, I do normal on my free to play with both of my keys in the past because I've been able to get 140 million down on normal. On hard, my team fails. Sometimes I can get the 70 million to get the double bonus, but most of the time, doing it on hard, it would fail because I don't have proper mechanical capabilities. I don't have a way to deal with the fear other than a cleanse. So until I develop that way to deal with that, my runs were very RNG, and they were not 100%, right? And they're even worse right now because we start the fight with the fear head in the fight. So I didn't understand how much of a damage loss it might be. And now there's all kinds of different stories that you're probably hearing from your clanmates, and I've seen some of these bugs. You can go watch my VOD and see how I experienced some of them. But there are a lot of bugs out there, and this is not a good look, and I'm not happy about the bugs because I've been spending a lot of time trying to defend Plarium here. We need to remember what these changes are about. And these changes are intended to bring players like Cheap Vodka, who is a member of our community, who not only had a Trunda team that could do crazy billions of damage, but was doing the same thing with champions like Varl and other strong nukers like Thor. We saw some really big Thor teams coming out towards the, before these nerfs went out. So you're bringing the damage and the point comparisons closer together. And I think that's good for the game as a whole. It was dramatic how different some players' damage was. So let's talk. I think I've shared enough about my thoughts and my opinions. I think the changes, they were not perfect. They were not the best. I think there were better ways to do it. Plain and simple, there were better ways. I'm not beating around that bush. However, change was needed, and this is the change they chose to go with. They chose to go with. And I'm glad that they made the change at the end of the day. I don't like cheese teams. I don't like the existence of cheese teams. And for them to be able to get rid of them, however convoluted and however overreact, however much they overreacted to it and maybe did too many changes, this is what they decided to go with. And I do think it's going to prevent potentially other teams from popping up. But I will tell you, and I said this in my chat, the raid community is going to be the raid community. Don't be surprised if in 2 months from now or less, we see some other crazy broken team that Plarium doesn't have a fix for. So keep your eyes out for that. Which brings me to the positives. What are the positive changes here of the new Hydra? First and foremost, you guys are going to get a lot more content about Hydra. This is going to be a hot subject for months. People are going to start making videos about the best budget teams. They're going to make videos about the best teams now. What's the new Trunda team? You're going to see videos about different champions that people have started to get away from using. Like I stopped using Inquisitor Shamil. I got 2 built. Shamael, sorry. I've got 2 built. Didn't use them for a very long time. I didn't use my Duchess, right? We just talked about that because I was like, whatever. The fear doesn't bother me. I still make 1,500 turns. That's all I care about. And so that's not going to happen anymore. I need every single turn that I use now matters. Every single turn counts. And so that's what I'm doing. I think Relentless gear is going to come back in a big way. You're going to see a lot more champions in Relentless because you only have 1,000 turns. You want every single one of those turns to be in your favor, not in the Hydras. So I think you're going to see Relentless come back. I haven't watched a lot of videos from other creators theory crafting about this. I'm just talking about my personal thoughts here. So maybe I'm wrong, but I do think that those you're going to see more Relentless again. People got away from Relentless. That used to be the meta for a while. I think people got away from it because you didn't want to waste any potential damage turns for a Trunda on your team, right? Like you didn't want an additional cleanse going off when you would rather your Trunda be hitting. So everything was geared around, in those really top-end teams, everything was geared about your Trunda doing as much damage as possible. And I think now you're going to see everyone doing as much damage, everyone taking as many turns as possible. So I think Relentless comes back. I could be wrong about that. Enemy max HP champions are a lot better, especially up in the higher stages, up in Brutal and Nightmare. Something that I didn't think about until I was live today doing my Hydra. My Acrisia hit for 1,000,000 damage. That has never happened to me before. And I was very confused because my Acrisia, with how she's currently built, can only do max damage against decapitated heads. Well, she hit a decapitated head, and her max damage, instead of being 500,000, was a million, and it blew my mind because that wasn't a thing, and it took me a second to. I thought it was a bug, and then chat very kindly explained to me that because the dead heads now have double the HP that they used to have, your enemy max HP champions are going to hit twice as hard, which I didn't think about. And so I feel like Acrizia is back potentially. I don't know what they're doing at the high end, but for me, Acrizia is killing it. Super happy to have her, and I'm probably going to bring Newt back into my next run next week and see if he can perform any better than Thor, potentially freeing Acrizia better when she gets eaten by a head, right? And so these are kinds of, I don't know. I think enemy max HP is back too. So overall, the changes were too much. I don't think the PR around it was worth it. I don't think the juice was worth the squeeze. I think I if I try to think like Plarium, I feel like what they wanted to do was to not only fix the current problem, but try to prevent more problems from popping up. Right? If you can fix it now, because what if they just did the changes that they did to Trunda and kept Clan Boss the way it was? Well, now you have Varl teams, you have Thor teams, you have, all these different teams that are still putting up billions and billions of damage and completely ignoring the base mechanics of the fight. I assume, by the way, I don't run those teams, so I don't know. But yeah, I think that's why they made a lot of the changes that they did, and I think they failed to properly communicate those changes. It doesn't help that there was bugs, and it doesn't help if you read the I think it was on Discord. Let me see if I can find this real quick. We admit some players. Let's put this over here. We admit. Do it like this. We admit that some players managed to fight Hydra under the old pre-balanced rules, and so brought their results into this round of Hydra Clash. Unfortunately, they can't go back, basically, right? That's not the best look. And I know a lot of people are very upset about that because you could potentially lose this week because other people, I don't want to say cheated, but took advantage of the situation. So it is what it is. Yeah. I think you're gonna see a lot more traditional teams, and I think this is better for the community too. I already touched on this a little bit, but I wanted to elaborate one final point on that because I, in my own clan, I have people asking questions. Well, what should my team be? Right. So my free to play is actually newer than some of these very players that you're seeing down here in normal and in hard, and they ask, well, what should I do? What should I run? And when my answers are, well, I run a Trunda team, that doesn't help, right? And so that's not my answer, by the way. I'm very helpful to my clan. I want to be clear, but the reality is I think you're going to see a lot more content on good teams for Hydra. And I think that's going to be beneficial to players that, if you would have Googled Hydra teams 2 weeks ago, you're looking at Trunda teams, you're looking at Mikage Ninja teams, Mikage Oboro teams, Varl teams. I think you're going to see a lot more lower level player friendly content on Hydra that is relevant today, right? Old videos that were, talking about Merciless and talking about Duchess and other champions that you could use and how to mitigate mechanics. I think that that those videos are still valid. So if you're struggling, I would check those out. But I think you're going to get more updated versions about them with recent champions. So I do think it's going to be better for the community. I just wanted to share my thoughts. I wanted to kind of re readdress it and everything that happened, in my other video. I do apologize to anybody in the comments if my tone was misunderstood. A I enjoy a debate, and but it's very easy to, especially when you're typing out words. Man, did I misinterpret people's stuff? Did they interpret my stuff? Like, it was, getting bad. I got to the point where I started just, I deleted a lot of my own comments, and I was like, you know what? This isn't getting us anywhere. Everyone's mad. We'll wait a couple days and we'll see what happens. So, if you're mad still and this ruined the game for you, you decided to leave, I'm sorry that we lost you. I love this community. I don't want to lose anybody in it. But I understand. I've been there. People have made changes. I remember quitting WoW many years ago because they just made it more grindy when I was at a point in the game where I didn't want to keep grinding anymore. So, um, you know, I get it. Hopefully, something will happen that'll, bring you back into the fold, I hope, because I love this game and I love playing it with people and I love talking about the game. So, hope this video finds everybody well. Thank you all for watching. I've already kind of talked about subscribing, so I'll spare you guys that spiel. Look forward to seeing you hopefully tomorrow on the live stream when I pull shards. But if not, then I hope to see you in the next recording video. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.